Should women going through menopause train fasted? First of all, let's discuss what the issues might be. So if you're training fasted, that might mean that you're going to have issues with substrate availability. The liver is going to have less glycogen, your muscles are going to have less glycogen. That might affect performance overall and your neuromuscular output. Working out damages your muscles. This increases muscle protein breakdown. Exercise by its whole is quite catabolic. So if you've not consumed food, then you're putting your muscles into a state where they actually are broken down and need to be repaired. And exercise increases cortisol, and if you do it fasted, this amplifies that cortisol response slightly. Now, what do we really mean when we say fasting? Because if you wake up early and you train at 6, 7 a.m., then directly afterwards you're having breakfast, that's not really training fasted, not from what we're talking about here. You're not going to have major issues with low energy availability. You ate the night before. Yes, your training would have increased muscle protein breakdown, but again, you have nutrients from the night before and you ate directly afterwards. And if you're training first thing in the morning, cortisol's high anyway, spiking it slightly higher and then eating directly after training isn't really going to make any difference whatsoever. So what we're talking about really is prolonged fasts. Let's say you're not having breakfast and then you're training and having lunch directly afterwards, or maybe you're missing a whole day of eating, then you're training the next day in the morning. That then will become actual fasted training. And a lot of this boils down to overall energy availability. So if your overall energy intake across the week is too low, that's going to be a major issue if you're training fasted on top of that. And for some women, fasting ends up meaning they massively underconsume energy across the entire week. But let's say you are just missing breakfast, having lunch and dinner, but getting enough protein, enough carbohydrates overall, enough energy, but still in a slight calorie deficit, your overall energy availability is actually going to be okay. So once again, you probably haven't got to worry too much about it. And I know popular authors in this space will state that by having a fasted window that creates a low energy period and the body senses that and responds differently. But those statements are highly speculative and there's not enough quality human evidence to really back that up. And context also really matters because a lot of this pushback on fasting for women going through menopause comes from athletic populations. So for women that has spent the majority of their life potentially underfeeding, doing a lot of training and having athletic endeavors, for that population, then fasting does seem to be quite troublesome, mainly because they are generally eating at a low energy state. So practical takeaway, if you train first thing in the morning and you don't eat, that's not really what we're talking about. If you miss breakfast and have your first meal as lunch, potentially if you're concerned about this, just have some sort of pre-workout nutrition. And if you do prolonged fast, like a 24-hour fast or more, then probably it's not the smartest thing to do to put a workout at the end of that, mainly because your performance is going to really tank anyway. And a final word on menopause. You often see these hard lines drawn on social media saying when women hit menopause, they can't do this or they have to do that. What's more important than menopause by itself is actually understanding a woman's overall training history and lifestyle history up to the point and getting an understanding of their overall habits and lifestyle at this moment in time before we can start giving advice. So anyone online giving broad strokes advice around menopause without any context applied to it is talking utter nonsense. This stuff has to be individualized to the person. Menopause by itself is not a reason to start doing something or stop doing something.